some of us, the trip was a calling. For others, a way to make a difference, a chance to change a few lives for the better, maybe even our own. We knew we'd be stretched beyond our comfort zone, but that comes with adventure. We imagined ourselves immersed in unfamiliar language and customs, and figured our hearts and minds would be blown open by what we'd see and feel. What we couldn't fully know before we left was how deeply we'd be affected, how hard it would be to come home, and how refreshing and challenging it is to step into the rest of our lives as different people. This is the story of our journey to Majab, Bahari, a remote village in the middle hills of Nepal, a small country in Asia, renowned for the world's tallest mountains and some of her poorest and happiest people.
The bonding in our group is extraordinary. I'm getting a sense of who everyone is. The early feelings of family have begun.
Our group of 10 spends a full year preparing for the trip. 6 of us are from the same family, grandparents, grown children, and grandchildren. The rest of us meet for the first time in early 2010. In the months ahead, we learn about the culture, customs, and habits of the Nepalese people. We share dinners in local Nepali restaurants. We collect thousands of toothbrushes and pencils, and hundreds of knitted caps, fleeces, and jackets. A Denver organization called Toys for God's Kids donates small wooden cars for the children in the village. We fill supply duffels with paint, paper, scissors, and glue. We pack frisbees, glow sticks, and books. With every meal and every conversation, the journey becomes more and more alive. The group develops a sense of community. Friendships form as the momentum builds. There's an increasing sense of immediacy, anxiety, excitement, and then it's time. Vaccinations administered, essentials packed, documents secured, tickets in hand. The pilgrimage to a spot on the other side of the globe begins.
Past mud brick dwellings, children playing, toothless old men squatting and smoking, switchback after switchback, we hike the rocky trail to Majab.
The transport drops us at a crossroads and we begin to walk into the village. First on a winding dirt road, then single file up a steep, narrow trail through the hills. 2 hours later, we step onto the veranda of a mud brick homestead, where women dressed in the traditional garb of the Garoon Hill people, their black hair wrapped in cloth, are waiting. They drape colorful malas of marigold blossoms around our necks. A woman dips her finger in tika powder and marks our foreheads with the sacred red dot. One by one, the villagers press their hands together, palms touching, and bow. Namaste. The divine in me honors the divine in you. We watch, we imitate, and we learn from the villagers. We came to serve and yet see from these first exchanges that it is we who will learn, we who will be served, and we who will be taught new ways of not just greeting and bowing, but of being. Tears flow behind sunglasses. Photos are taken. A full year of preparation and 2 long days of travel are behind us. At last, we're really here.
There are groves of clementine trees. The clay on the houses is painted orange. The homes are very small and dark, with no glass windows. Flies are everywhere. I'm using the fan I got from Hong Kong to keep them off the table.
The steep hills of central Nepal are carved into terraces for homes, vegetable gardens, and, in our case, a campsite. Stiff, dry corn stubble pokes up from the bumpy, dusty earth around and under our tents. 2 homes are situated on the ledge above us. Another 18, shared with water buffalo, goats, and chickens, are staggered on the terraces below. The campsite consists of several 2-man tents for sleeping, a larger dining tent, a cooking tent, and a small tent at the edge of the forest for toileting. That first afternoon, the children of the village gather on the ridge and watch us as we settle into the campsite. The village kids and our kids are the first to connect, running up and down the hills, playing hide and seek among the bamboo. The second afternoon, we pull out the frisbees and it's playtime for everyone.
We're helping the village support itself with a water system. They tell us that now the men can stay here and farm rather than leave their families for work in the city or as far away as another country.
Nearly half of the people on Earth do not have water piped to their homes, as reported in National Geographic. Women walk, often for miles, to get water. Prior to our trip, Montview Church partnered with International Development Enterprises, or IDE, a global nonprofit based in Lakewood, Colorado. The organization creates income opportunities for poor, rural households in the developing world, a group of 5 billion people who have come to be known as the other 90%. Water is the entry point for IDE. Once a village has access to water, the women and girls no longer spend hours every day fetching it. Irrigation systems make it possible to grow vegetables. Those vegetables provide healthy food for families and are sold to generate income. Families move from merely subsisting into the country's cash economy, and with the income, they're able to invest and reinvest in livestock and crop supplies, give their children, boys and girls, a better education, make home improvements, and possibly afford health care and better hygiene. At an altitude of 3,800 feet and roughly the latitude of Florida, Majab Bahari is favorably situated for growing vegetables. Without water, the villagers could farm only when the monsoons brought rain. The remaining months of the year, the terraces lay fallow. Prior to our arrival, IDE personnel in Nepal worked with the village leaders to generate interest in the project, and through Montview Church, our work team supplied the funding to underwrite the relatively modest cost of the supplies for the new water infrastructure.
A little hard work toward a common goal, shoulder to shoulder with someone who doesn't share the same language and background, creates an unspoken bond.
How do we help? We dig trenches, passing the tools back and forth between villager and visitor. 2 pickaxes, a few scooper shovels, and 2 large spades. We mix and spread concrete to build new tap stands. While the villagers use machetes to split 40-foot lengths of bamboo, we turn over the soil for seedlings in the new greenhouse. 2 natural springs above the village serve as the water source. From those points, water is drawn into a large cistern and circulated throughout the village via PVC tubes buried in a network of trenches. These pipes channel water to tap stands for dispensing. Before our arrival, the village had only 1 tap for everyone's use, which meant carrying water up and down the steep hillside. We helped to expand the infrastructure by digging trenches, laying water lines, and building tap stands close to the homes for individual household and irrigation use. We also helped to install the drip irrigation system for the new greenhouse.
I'm struck by the promise of these people. They walk a delicate balance between preserving their beautiful culture and trying so desperately to carve out a living in a rapidly changing world.
The average farmer in the village begins his cash crop business with 500 square feet of tillable land, a plot not much larger than a two-car garage in the U.S. Harvested vegetables are carried to a collection center near the base of the village. There, the tomatoes, cucumber, and other vegetables are weighed and sold to traders, who, in turn, sell the produce to markets in cities like Pokhara. Majab collection center manager, keeps a log of all the transactions and calculates and distributes the rupees to the farmers. These are friendly, gregarious people, excited by the changes in their lives and motivated by the possibilities. To witness their enthusiasm and share in their energy as they work wholeheartedly to improve the lives of their families is a remarkable, unforgettable experience.
The Sherpas are incredibly kind. They're amazing and very, very, very good with kids. Having them take care of us is like traveling with a mom.
Black tea, milk tea, sugar. The Sherpas bring hot tea to the tents in the early morning and serve it again in late afternoon. They feed us great tasting food, everything from traditional Nepali dal bhat to American pizza, even a cake on Christmas, baked over a fire. They bring basins of hot washing water to our tents and keep our bottles filled with water safe for drinking. Midweek, they hand wash our dusty clothes and hang them to dry over rope suspended between the tents. They dance with us around the campfire in the evening and rise with us one morning before daybreak. We hike with headlamps to the top of the mountain where we stand among Hindu shrines and watch as the sun rises on the snow-capped Annapurnas, turning the dark masses of the Himalaya lavender, then pink, and finally bright white.
The school has 50 students. There are no toys for the kids, no running water, no comfortable things, no books and no pictures, no computers and no colors on the wall.
In the afternoons, we head to the brick school, a 3-room building for preschool through 5th grade. We show the kids how to make snowflakes and paper chains. We teach a lesson about hygiene and give them cloth bags filled with toothbrushes, bars of soap, and nail clippers. We set out tubes of paint and watch the kids decorate the t-shirts we bring from Kathmandu. The activity doubles as an art project and a way to give the children a new item of clothing. We talk with them about picking up trash and keeping their village clean. Sangay Sherpa interprets for us. The next morning, all of us, including the school kids, pick up litter along the path and burn it in a fire at the edge of the schoolyard. Old men stand to the side and watch, curious about these Westerners who have come to their village, a phenomenon they have never seen.
We're told our presence is a motivating force for the village people. They're affected by our insistence that they deserve water. Our being here seems like a great opportunity to represent the best that America has to offer.
A ceremony on December 27 makes it official. The village of Majab Bahari has water. A local leader reads the plaque commemorating the new system. Taps throughout the village are turned on, one after another, and the crowd erupts in cheers and clapping. Community and political leaders speak. The head of IDE in Nepal comes from Kathmandu to address the group. At the close of the ceremony, 5 Nepali women wrap us American women in the traditional garb of the Garoon people to honor our contribution. The villagers slaughter and roast a goat for the occasion. Everybody enjoys a feast And later that night, there's another bonfire and more dancing. We go to our tents exhausted, exhilarated and amazed, but with a lingering sadness. Tomorrow, we say goodbye.
All the ways we stereotype in the U.S. are gone. It doesn't matter where I work, how much money I make, where I live, what car I drive, or what faith I am. I'm just who they know me to be in the encounter we are having right now.
We mill about quietly on the last morning, breaking camp, preparing to depart. We leave in single file behind Songay, down the rocky, narrow path, past the school and the homes of the people who have welcomed us into their lives and touched our hearts so deeply. Men, women, and children bow as we pass, palms pressed together. One last namaste passes between us. Nepali and American tears are shed in silence. Perhaps one day, if we're lucky, we'll pass this way again.
Kathmandu is hectic, dirty, and amazing. Traffic is a nightmare, with no crosswalks or street signs. The electricity is turned off each day at a different time.
On to Kathmandu, a mecca of third world pandemonium. Burning incense and burning garbage, cows sharing the streets with taxis, emaciated dogs, children at play, lovely gardens tucked into courtyards of hotels and restaurants. Piles of raw, red meat, skinned chickens stacked in the open air, men in ragged clothing squatting around small fires, beautiful women in beaded kurtas, bangles at their wrists, slippers on their feet. Everywhere, scooters and honking horns. Persistent shopkeepers. Come in, just look, see more, see more. Cows and dogs picking through garbage in the river so flooded with debris, the water barely flows. Bodies in cremation along the riverbank at Pashupatina. We find calm on the grounds of Bodhnath, the largest Buddhist stupa in the world, located on the outskirts of Kathmandu. We spin ancient prayer wheels and listen to Tibetan chants as we circumambulate the giant white chorten adorned with prayer flags whipping in the wind. We join Buddhists from throughout the world making pilgrimage to this sacred site. Just after midnight, we board the flight for Hong Kong and begin the long journey home.
Simple living works fine for happiness. We can learn a lot about what is life enhancing by spending time in a poor village.
The old adage is true, even halfway around the world. Everywhere we go, there we are. Traveling in Nepal put us in touch with our fears, our judgments, our hang-ups and detachments. We had many occasions, every day, to see them anew, to open our hearts and minds, and to let those fears and attachments go. We learned that we don't need to shower every day, or shave, or look in a mirror. The body adapts to time zones, to diet, to sights, smells, and living conditions. We learned that we are more alike than we are different, that we can live among people on the other side of the planet, unable to speak their language or even know their name, and feel a connection. We discovered we can make a difference, and we learned again how good that feels, how affirming it is of our shared humanity and the experience of simply being. We learned how insignificant all of our stuff really is, and how much simpler it is to be responsible for a few things rather than many. Those of us who care for families back home treasured being cared for by 5 happy Sherpas. We set aside our job titles, our self-importance, and college educations, picked up shovels and scoops, and dug trenches. It felt good to be associated with a necessity as basic as water. That connection rooted us in the earth. There's nothing glamorous about being poor, but modern America has swung far in the direction of excess. We learned how satisfying it is to swing back to something more moderate, more doable, less greedy, and more loving. To a person, our journey challenged us to question how we are in the world, how we live, and to take a closer look at what truly matters. Would we make the trip again, or something like it? To a person, our answer is yes.